Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Phoenix Fire. This is going to be my very first podcast, so I'm going to sound nervous. I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm not reading from a script like I do in my narrations. This is just me talking. So thank you so much for clicking on the video and thank you so much for tuning in. Let's jump right into it and we will see how this goes. This is something I have always wanted to do. I've always wanted to break into the voiceover and podcasting type of industry. I've always been told I had a voice for radio, for narrations, or some people have actually told me they can hear me actually narrating a commercial on television. That's something I've always wanted to do. Now that I'm older and my voice has matured, I have that deeper, raspier, more broad voice that I know how to use correctly. So, the topic of conversation for my very first podcast, something that's been weighing a little heavy on my mind, but it's also like, here we go again. So, it is the new mask restriction mandate lift that is now across the entire United States. If I checked my numbers, that's what I was trying to say there. If I checked my numbers and I checked the news recently, we are at about an 80% blanket across the United States in which the CDC has given permission for the mask to come off. And most of the states, are like, whew, about time, let's get these masks off our face. Well, here's my opinion about that. If I remember correctly, we have already been in this situation. And when we did, a lot of people were not getting vaccinated as fast as the CDC thought. The numbers were fudged. All the states weren't reporting correctly. And there were just a lot of things messed up. But unbeknownst to all of us, COVID-19 decided, you know what? I think it's time to have some kids. So COVID-19 had some babies, aka the variants. First one out the gate, Delta. Well, just like its predecessor, was just as deadly. I don't think Delta killed as many people as the original strain of COVID-19, but it was just as deadly. It was making people extremely sick. It was still hospitalizing people, and it was something to be nervous about. So the CDC finally stepped in and said, "Oh, whoa, we made a mistake. Hey, let's put those masks back on and let's pull back on the reins for a second. We lifted some restrictions and told you to take your mask off way too early." And most people started thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe it's actually time that I probably go get my vaccination. Some people agree with it. Some people don't. That has been a very, very sore topic for a lot of people, at least around my neck of the woods here in the state of Kentucky. A lot of people agree, a lot of people don't, but it's fine. That is your choice, what you put into your body. Second out of the gate, we had Omicron. I think that's the one we're currently on. We've had some other little variants, here and there, but not as serious as Delta and Omicron. Omicron was not as deadly as the original COVID-19 or Delta, but it was a lot more contagious. Granted, as the virus weakens and decides to continue spawning, of course, the severity of catching that virus, gets lower and lower. The risks also remain just as high for contracting the virus, but you don't, stay as sick as long, and you don't necessarily end up in the hospital like you would if you had caught the original strain of COVID-19 or its first predecessor, Delta. Not predecessor, excuse me. Its first variant. So with all that being said, all those facts, all going down memory lane, yada, yada, yada. Now we're removing our masks again. So the CDC decided, the numbers are low. Hospitalization numbers are starting to come down. They're not as severe. We're not seeing as many deaths as we were when COVID-19 originally got here. And we're not seeing as many deaths as when Delta was running rampant all over this country. Omicron is still present, but it's not as severe. Omicron is more related to catching the flu. It still hurts. It does if you catch it. Trust me, my mother actually has had COVID twice, unfortunately. And she most recently had, I personally believe, I'm not sure what the doctor said or what they tested for, but just reading what I read with these variants, I think she had Omicron. And I spoke with my mother before, during, and after, and all she could really say is she was dead other than suffering through COVID. And a lot of people have had COVID, and I've heard the same story. For those of you who have had COVID and you're still with us, that is a blessing in itself. For those of you that have been affected by COVID and lost someone, my heart goes out to you. So as I continue this, point here is, are we ready to lift our masks off our faces yet? Are we ready to get rid of that extra barrier that we have had in place for almost 2 years, or it might actually be 2 years at this point? Are we ready to actually lift that extra barricade that's been protecting us, or at least given us more protection against this new age pandemic, and take those risks that we took once before when we first decided, take the mask off, or when the CDC decided, and by we and CDC, we are all we, all of us as Americans here in the United States. Are we really ready to take that risk again? My thought process is, what happens if this virus decides to mutate again and grow strength? Now, I do realize that as this virus mutates, like all viruses do, it does get weaker. And now that we have vaccinations for it, it does help boost the antibodies in your body to fight off this virus. And it also helps to keep you out of the hospital. So it is a very good thing if you do get your vaccinations. That's just my opinion. Everyone has their opinion, and you are entitled to it. I'm not here to disagree with you. But we have a lot more knowledge about COVID-19 now that we did not 2 years ago. We did not a year ago. We did not 6 months ago, etc., etc. As the days go on, we learn a lot more about this virus. We have a lot more control over it. Our vaccinations are getting stronger, and our knowledge about it is broadening. So what if this virus decides to mutate again and take a turn for the worst, as we have seen these variants go up and down and up and down, and as they continue to break off, some we don't worry about, some we do. And I've seen in the news, other variants are popping up depending on wherever you live in the world. And some are good, some are bad. And us here in the United States, it's something that, do we want to worry about it? Do we not want to care anymore? I don't know. I have heard a lot of things. I know a lot of people are getting burnt out with COVID-19. Trust me. I myself, I get tired of actually just hearing the word COVID-19, considering it's been beaten into my brain for 2 years straight now. But it's still a good thing to keep in the front of your mind. But in my opinion, I don't think we're quite ready to lift those masks just yet. Not just yet. We are still in the middle of winter, at least here on the East Coast. It's still really cold. Now, I know we've got different regions here in the United States where some places it's really hot and some places it's extremely cold. And the weather's all over the place. So from what I understand, most viruses thrive in cold weather, and they are spread faster where cold weather is dwelling, because us as humans, we, of course, cluster inside where it's warm. So we're going to pass this virus around like crazy. Now, when the weather starts getting hot and it starts getting warm and everyone gets outside and it's really, really hot, the virus itself just sort of bakes off. It's still there, but it bakes off, and it's not too extreme as it is during the winter months. And then, of course, going into the fall season. I myself am not ready to go run around without my mask. I myself am susceptible to things that are airborne, the flu, strep throat, things of that nature. I know a lot of people are, but I can only speak for myself. I have really bad allergies, so whether it be in the air, whether it be a virus, whatever the case may be, I myself like my mask. Now, don't get me wrong, when I'm at work and I get hot and sweaty, I hate just being wet under my mask. It gets in my facial hair and then the snot and everything else. It's gross, but I remind myself that's the extra barricade that I have to help fight the environment around me and whatever is in the air, whether it be dust and pollen or the flu or someone's spit when they're talking to me, just whatever the case may be, there's something protecting my nose and my mouth, which, of course, that's your vulnerable areas where viruses transmit. You get it through your nose and your mouth. Of course, you can still get it in your eyes as well, but these airborne viruses get inhaled through your nose and mouth. So I'm not quite ready to take my mask off. And 3, I do kind of like wearing my mask when I go outside because it's freezing cold right now in Kentucky. And instead of wearing a scarf, I can just put my mask on. So it's kind of like 2 birds, 1 stone there. So it's keeping my face warm, and on top of that, it's protecting me from whatever's in the environment around me. So what are your thoughts and opinions? I know I've went on this rant. Not sure if it makes sense to you, but what are your opinions? Are you ready to take your mask off? Are you ready to just be done with this? Are you ready to just grab this COVID-19 situation by the horns and just say, you know what? Whatever may be, will be. Are you ready to take a risk and go back to what we thought was normal 2 years ago, where nobody was wearing anything over their face unless, of course, you were sick and the doctor advised that you put a mask on? Say if you had strep throat or whatnot, you had to go to the ER or the hospital, they would give you a facial covering, whatever, so you wouldn't get anyone sick around you. Now, we've got a mask on, period, just because COVID-19 is thrown into the mix. This is our new age pandemic. Just like when the flu was first discovered, when strep throat was, first came around. All these things were pandemics, so we're just living in a new age pandemic. And me, myself, COVID-19 has now weakened to the point it's pretty much the new age flu. It's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to stay. It's not going to die off, in my opinion. Just like with the flu and strep throat and whatnot, it's going to continue to come around. Are you ready to go back to raw dogging the air, so shall I say? Are you ready to take that risk? Are you ready to say, you know what? If I get sick, I get sick. Are you ready to do that? What are your opinions? I would like to hear some of those. You can put it in the comments below. This is my first podcast, so of course it's not live to anything where you can comment as I go along with this. In the future, I will be having more podcast situations in which you can either join live and ask questions and I can answer those, or I might have a guest on the show and we'll go back and forth with our opinions. But for the time being, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. This is a free-for-all. You are entitled to your opinion just like anyone else is. So I'd like to hear what you have to think about this. I have my own opinion. I'm not ready to take mine off. Not going to. I think I might wear my mask forever for all I care. I have not been sick in 2 years. I've been very appreciative. I used to get strep throat at least 6 to 7 times a year. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I've not had even a simple cold for the past 2 years. And it has been wonderful. And I really do thank my mask for that. It has allowed me protection from anything around me. Or I've just gotten really lucky and not come in contact with anyone that's had anything. I don't know. I don't know what to think, but I've not been sick. So all I know is I haven't been to the hospital and I haven't had to swallow those god-awful horse-sized pills called antibiotics to get rid of strep throat. And I've not had to suffer a fever or broken out in sweats and carrying on from the flu, and you know the whole story. And fortunately enough, I've not contracted the COVID-19 virus. I know a lot of people have, and I know a lot of people have been affected by it. And my heart is with those that have been affected by it. And of course, my thoughts are with the families who have lost people due to COVID-19. New age pandemic. It's something we're going to have to deal with. I'm pretty sure in another year or 2 or 3 or 10, who knows, there'll be something else new that comes along. And then we'll just have to ride that wave once it gets here. But let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, I am a Phoenix Fire. Most of you that personally know me, my name is actually Chris, My name is Chris. And this channel is for voiceover and narrations. Normally I have a script to read. There's not so many mistakes. There's not a lot of ums. There's not a lot of ands. There's not a lot of repetitive phrases. It is a script that I read, that I actually narrate. But this is my first podcast, so I wanted to bring my own opinion into the mix just to kind of play around and see where I'm comfortable recording. With that being said, I'm going to close my very first podcast. Thank you so much for clicking on the link, taking your time to listening to this, and making it this far in the journey with me. I will be bringing you brand new content very, very soon. And of course, I'll be uploading more of these opinionated type podcasts in the future as well. My name is Phoenix Fire. I want to remind you to take care of yourself. Just because the masks are coming off, that does not mean to forget to stop being a human. If you're going to cough and sneeze, if you are a spitter when you talk, please cover your mouth. We sometimes fail to forget how disgusting we are as the human species. We're disgusting. We really are. We really, really are. Please take care of yourselves. Be mindful of those around you. Please keep your hands washed. Please sanitize still. And just stay safe. Stay healthy. I will see you all soon. Bye.